Hello there, and welcome to the unfortunate a bit ill, so I sound off my cough. I am terribly sorry, but that doesn't mean we can't stare at a large robot. That's right, it's Shorikai. Genesis engine. Genesis, not a great band, but, you know, engines are pretty cool, you know, making a big engine. Nice big robot. 4 mana, 8/8 vehicle, legendary artifact. Pay 1 and tap, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Create a 1/1 colors pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power was 2 greater. So it's a 3/1 for crewing. Quite cool, to be fair. Crew 8, so you can tap any number of creatures you control with total power 8 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Shurikai Genius Engine, or Genesis Engine, can be your commander. Have you ever wanted a big vehicle as a commander? Well, personally, I have. I'd like to just hop in it and drive around crushing everyone I see. Yeah. But this is a really cool thing, you know, having the access to this. It's like having a planeswalker as a commander. It's a nice novelty. And, you know, there's quite a few interesting things we can do with this. So, without further ado, why don't we subscribe to my channel? Going to be making videos like this for every single legendary creature, and we've just had a lot spoiled from Kamigawa, so come and join me on the journey. Now, without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5. And in at number 5, well, what do we have? We've got Peace Walker Colossus, and sort of things that integrate themselves well with vehicles. 3 mana for a 6/6 vehicle, so it sits there as an artifact, but you can crew it for 4. So you can tap any number of creatures you control, total power 4 or more, it becomes a creature. But you can pay 2 mana, another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Now, our commander, it's quite a hefty crew cost, isn't it? You're going to have a lot of either pilots that the commander makes, or a lot of just big creatures. But for just 2 mana, we could crew our commander and get swinging in there for lots of meaty damage. Really awesome card, and it's exactly the sort of thing you want in the deck. Plus, look at the art style. It's so cool. Like, I love it. It's so steampunky and stuff like that. It's very nice. Then we got the Aeronaut Admiral, 4 mana, 3/1 flyer. Vehicles you control are flying. So our commander will be shooting over the top of everyone else to just come in and annihilate. Really, really nice. Then there's the Giant Ox. You know, if you ever wanted a large sort of mammal to crew a vehicle, well, I'm available. But we can also have the Giant Ox, 2 mana for a 0/6. Interesting. Giant Ox crews vehicles using his toughness rather than his power. He's using that booty to crew it. Oh, incredible. So this takes us most of the way to our commander's crew ability. We just need one of the little pilots, and then the Ox and the pilot can sit in the driver's seat, smashing everything to pieces. I don't know how it works, but it does. It does. Then there's Gearshift Ace, 2 mana, 2/1 first striker, dwarf pilot. Whenever Gearshift 8 crews a vehicle, the vehicle gains first strike until end of turn. So our commander could have first strike, get in there, chop, 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 kill everyone. Then we've got Cultivators Caravan, and these are 2 vehicles that I thought are really cool and you'd want to include. Cultivators Caravan, 3 mana for a vehicle artifact, 5/5. It taps to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Now, that ability is going to come up a bit later in a combination we've got. Then there's Crew 3 to tap 3 power, get this vehicle to be a 5/5. Just get in the caravan, choo-choo, and off we go. The cool thing with sort of vehicles is you can sort of stagger the ability. So, one of our pilots can pilot the Cultivators Caravan, which becomes a 5/5. Then we can tap that to crew 5 for our commander. We just need another pilot. So it's cool how you can have vehicles inside of vehicles. So we're not just going to have, you know, an Ox piloting our commander. It's going to be an Ox in a caravan. Interesting. Then there's Cosmere, God of Voyage. 3 mana, 2/4 God. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Cosmere. Cosima, I think it is. Actually, I can't read. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Cosima is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return Cosima to the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it, and you draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. What a wall of text that is. Basically, it's a nice card advantage sort of engine. We're not going to be making too many sort of land drops. We're not in green and things like that. So, but, you know, white has some sort of catch-up mechanics, you know, with that dwarf. Stoic Dwarf, I think he's called. I don't know. The 4-mana one that you can foretell. And anyway, there's a couple of ways that you can get extra lands. But the real meat of it is the Omen Keel. 2 mana, so you can cast either side of Cosima. Generally, I'd want to cast the Omen Keel. So 2 mana for a 3/3 legendary artifact vehicle. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play lands from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled. Well, our commander's an 8/8. So if our commander hits, we're going to be exiling 8 cards, which, you know, you could go on the mill plan at that point. But we're going to have land drops for days. Really, really awesome card. It just works great. Then let's have a look at number 4. So at number 4, we've got Mirror Sigil Sergeant. So blue-white, not that famous for tokens, but this is one of my favorite cards in all of this sort of style. And the cool thing is, because our commander most of the time is a creature, most board wipes aren't going to hit it. So Mirror Sigil Sergeant, 6 mana for a 4/4 Rhino Soldier, with trample at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control a blue permanent, you may put a token into play that's a copy of Mirror Sigil Sergeant. And because it's a copy, an exact copy, it has that ability. So the first upkeep, you're going to get 1. Then those 2 that you've now got create 4. And it just spirals and spirals and spirals out of control. It's awesome. It's just so, so cool. And because our commander is always going to be sitting there, or at least we hope it's always going to be sitting there, we're always going to have a blue permanent. So it just works perfectly with the style of deck. And if it splits itself in 2, suddenly we've got 8 power, which can crew our commander. Hey, it works in every way. And if we're making tokens, which our commander does, making the pilots, Anointed Procession is a must include. 4 mana enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. Now, obviously, green has the lion's share of this sort of effect, but this is really good and fits perfectly in the deck. And if we're playing with tokens, we'll have a Curiosity Crafter. 4 mana 3/3 flyer. You have no maximum hand size. Ooh, that's nice. And whenever a creature token you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So a lot of our tokens, well, they're basic 1/1s that are just going to be tapping sideways. But it's nice to have that utility. And if we're going full on the sort of token strategy, maybe we've got a lot of token flyers, things like that, this will draw us a ton of cards. Then we've got a Perplexing Test. 5 mana instant. Choose 1. Return all creature tokens to their owner's hand. Or return all non-token creatures to their owner's hand. So the awesome thing about this is our commander, if we've not crewed it, isn't a creature. So we can return all non-token creatures, which bounces all of our opponents' things. Then we crew up our commander, and then we can swing in with impunity and get in for some big damage. Big robot damage. Then Overburden is a great card if we're going heavy into tokens. 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a player puts a creature card into play, that player returns a land he or she controls to its owner's hand. So this actually reads now when they put a non-token creature into play. So our commander coming in obviously isn't a creature. And whenever we're making a token, it's a non-token creature. No, it is a token creature. So we don't have to bounce a land. The main thing is we're breaking the synergy of this because the symmetry of this, because we're not going to be bouncing anything back, or not that often, because we're going to focus on tokens and also maybe other vehicles. So it works perfectly. Then we've got Clone Legion, in case, you know, opponents get a bit out of hand. Well, let's become our opponent. 9 mana for a sorcery. For each creature target player controls, create a token that's a copy of that creature. You could actually choose yourself, get a bunch more pilots. Hey! Or, you know, you could steal your opponent's board state. They've got a Kraytooth. Oh, suddenly you've won the game. Wonderful. Then, Supplant Form is a very similar card. 6 mana instant, return target creature to its owner's hand, then put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. Steal the best thing, nice enter the battlefield effect. There's so many going on in Commander. This will be a great card. It's an instant, so you can really surprise your opponents. Great, great play. Which brings me on to number 3. And in number 3, we've got Padim, Council of Innovation. 4 mana, 1/4, and this section is all about protecting our commander, because our commander is, interestingly, an artifact who just sits there most of the time just chilling. So we don't want him to get blown up incidentally by like crows and grip, something like that. Artifacts you control have hexproof, so no one can target it. Oh, awesome. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied for the highest, draw a card. Impress me. I hope I do, Badoo. I hope I do. So this is really, really good, generates a lot of advantage and protects our commander, which is the most important thing for me here. Really, really excellent. And similarly, we've got Indomitable Archangel. 4 mana, 4/4 flying metalcraft. Artifacts you control have Shroud as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. So our big commander is going to be Shroudy, so we can crew it and then just slam in for a load of damage. And this is a flyer, so you know it's a threat in and of itself. Shroud is really nice, but Indestructible is even better. Darksteel Forge, 9 mana for an artifact. Artifacts you control have Indestructible. It gives itself Indestructible as well, so they can't blow it up. Yes, Exile is knocking around in general in this sort of day and age, you know, because people have learned about cards like this and want to destroy them. Well, Exile them. But this is a great card, especially because our commander will be indestructible, even if it's a creature, so it can't die in combat. Wonderful, wonderful. Then we've got Leonin Abunus. 4 mana, 2/5 Cat Cleric. What a creature type. Artifacts you control have hexproof, so it's Padim, except doesn't draw you a card. Well, you know, you can't have everything in life, but it's nice to have a bit of redundancy. You can have multiple ways of giving all of our commander hexproof and our other vehicles as well. Which brings me on to number 2. And in number 2, well, Intruder Alarm is phenomenal with this commander because it has a tap ability that I've not really talked about. So you can pay 1, tap it, draw 2 cards, discard a card. But then you also create a 1/1. Intruder Alarm reads, 3 mana enchantment. Creatures don't untap during the control's untap step. Not great. However, whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. So, we activate our commander, pay 1, tap it, discard 2 cards. Draw 2 cards, discard 1 card, make a 1/1, which untaps our commander. Then we can pay 1, do it again, and just keep cycling through our deck, cycling MTG. Brilliant. This is amazing and just generates so much value. You know, you could easily just draw through your entire deck. Similarly, if you've got a Goldmere on the field, it's absolutely fantastic because that allows us to pay the 1 white or the 1 mana. Because we can tap this for mana, tap our commander using that 1 mana, draw the 2 cards, make the thing, untaps both of them with Intruder Alarm, and then we can go through it all again. So we actually can draw through our entire deck. Then we've got Grand Architect, 3 mana, 1/3, Verdalcan Artificer. Other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. Our commander is blue. Hey! Pay blue, target artifact creature becomes blue until end of turn. If you've got a Pillar Pala, this can generate infinite mana. Pillar Pala is an interesting artifact creature scarecrow, I think, that untaps to make a mana. It goes infinite with this. Because when you tap an untapped blue creature you control, add double colorless. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Now, our commander being an artifact means that we can tap Grand Architect to its own ability to make 2 mana, untap everything when the Intruder Alarm, when the token comes in, and then we've generated an extra artifact mana. Ooh, we're going even further. Then Silvermere, exactly the same as Goldmere, can help us go infinite with our commander and Intruder Alarm, and it's just good early game ramp. Excuse me. Yes, it's on a body, so it's going to probably die, but it can accelerate us to get our commander out and then whatever other things we need. Then, Dramatic Reversal, 2 mana instant and tap on non-land permanents you control. I think you've probably seen this card in conjunction with Icebreaker Cracker and just general mana rocks. Icebreaker Cracker, 2 mana artifact imprint, so when it enters the battlefield you may exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. So if you exile Dramatic Reversal, you cast Dramatic Reversal off this by paying 2 and tap it to copy the exile card. It untaps Icebreaker Cracker and any other non-land permanents you control. So if you've got a Sol Ring, suddenly you've made infinite untaps, which means we can tap our commander, untap it. And just spiral out of control, generating potentially infinite mana, infinite card draw, infinite tokens, infinite whatever you want, infinite buffet, I don't know, just eat everything. Then Mind Over Matter, you know, powering me through this. 6 mana for an enchantment. Choose and discard a card. So discard a card. Tap or untap target artifact, creature, or land. So this is perfect for our commander because we're always going to get at least one card from our commander's activated ability. So we can discard that card to then untap, pay 1 mana, tap, draw another card. Yes, you're drawing 2, but you're discarding 1. Then you discard another to just sift through your entire deck. Amazing card and works perfectly with mana rocks and things like that as well. Which brings me on to number 1. And at number 1, we've got Metalwork Colossus. So, I like crewing things, but 8 is quite a lot to crew, and sometimes you can't activate the ability. This fits perfectly into it, and so do all of the creatures in this section. 11 mana, ooh, but wait, there's more, for a 10/10 construct. Metalwork Colossus costs X less to cast, where X is the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. Now, when our commander's just sitting around, uncrewed, you know, he's just chilling, no one's inside of him yet, he is a non-creature artifact. So that's at least 4 mana off Metalwork Colossus. And then if you just have artifact ramp, which you will do, you will be playing artifact ramp, this is going to reduce this, potentially cost 0 mana. Then you can crew it straight away because it's 10/10. Or you can sacrifice 2 artifacts, return Metalwork Colossus from your graveyard to your hand. So if our if this dies, we can rebuy it by sacrificing maybe treasure tokens, potentially our commander, to be honest, because, you know, 4 mana is not that big. To get this back, recast it, and it's always a big threat on the field. Then there's Ferexian Dreadnought. Fantastic if you just want to crew once. 1 mana for an artifact creature with trample. When it comes to play, sacrifice any number of creatures with total power of 12 or more, or bury this. I think it's sacrifice it, but I can't remember. So what you can do is you can cast this for 1 mana. In response to that sacrifice trigger, where you have to either sacrifice 12 or itself, you can crew our commander. And then swing in for tons of damage. And then it does sacrifice itself. But potentially, if you want to sacrifice your commander and then something else, you could keep it around just a big 1 mana 12/12. Oh. Then we've got Icebreaker Cracker. Now this does require you to be playing Snowlands, but you can just use Snow Basics, not the end of the world. It costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control, and it costs 12 mana. Ooh. And it's an 8/8. When it enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap set, so it leaves them open for 2 swings of our commander. Return 3 snowlands you control to their owner's hand. Return Icebreaker Cracker to its owner's hand. You know, a nice bit of safety net. You know, you can save it. But potentially this can be 2 mana, 2 blue mana, to just be able to crew our commander straight away because it's an 8/8. Really, really nice include. And I think it's a useful ability just to be able to ice people out of the game. Really lock down their best attackers. And then we've got Ancient Stone Idol, 10 mana, 12/12 with Flash. It's a golem, and this spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. That's either our attacking creatures, if you want to, be attacking in with your little tokens, or our opponents, and they don't have to be attacking us. Trample. When it dies, create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with trample. So again, something else that can crew our commander, or nearly. Give it an Ox and it'll be able to trample over. Then Eater of Days. I'll be honest, I don't recommend playing this, but I love the idea of this thing getting side of the little robot and attacking it. 4 mana, 9/8, flying and trample. That's pretty good. However, when it comes into play, you skip your next 2 turns. Okay. Once, what was that draft set where it was like 1,600 different cards all meshed together? I drafted one of these and I cast it. Missed 1 turn, missed another turn, and then swang in for lethal. My opponent just couldn't deal with it. They just sat there going, that's a 9/8. That's really cool. So potentially this could actually win you the game. So don't be afraid of casting it. It can end up creating some amazing sort of game. Then Ludwig's Test Subject is a 2 mana 0/3 defender. However, you can pay 2 to put a hatchling counter on it. Then if there are 5 or more hatchling counters on it, remove them all and transform it into a 13/13 with trample. It just flips into a big 13. The egg goes and it opens up to reveal a hideous monstrosity. So very mana intensive, but it's a cheap card that you could potentially flip to make a big memory. And that's what Commander's all about. Then we got Phyrexian Soulgorger. 3 mana, 8/8. Cumulative upkeep. So each upkeep you need to do this once, then twice, then 3 times, and it keeps getting worse and worse. Sacrifice a creature. Well, it's quite the cost, but we're going to be making a lot of tokens, so we should have something to sacrifice to it. And, you know, this can come in and we can crew our commander straight away. And those are my top 5 cards for this brand new Robot Wars. Anyone watch that? It's a good program. I used to really love it. I used to want to make one. I remember meeting the people who made Razor from the original UK series. It's a classic memory. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry that I'm ill and I'm coughing and stuff. I just don't feel very good. But I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.